let's get started. Let me give you a simple tip though to help you remember the exercise routines that we need to go through. Because what you'll be sitting there saying, what did Hilton say? What was the third exercise? So a simple way to do it is to work up through the body. We start off with the calf muscles. We come up from there into the hamstrings. We then come across to the IT band and then through to the quads. From the quads we go to the groin. Then we're going to look at a group of muscles called the hip flexors. Then coming across from the hip flexors, simple hip flexors to hips. And from the hips we're going to go through to the glutes. And from the glutes, the last one we can take a look at, also in that region, is called the piriformis muscle. So quickly again, we go calves, hamstrings, IT band, quads, groin, hip flexors, hips, glutes, piriformis. So let's jump into the details. So we're going to give you some general tips and guidelines about stretching. We're sitting in quarantine at the moment, so now is an ideal time to get out, do some exercises. You're sitting at home, you could be watching TV. So why do you need to stretch? Stretch helps eliminate the lactic acid that builds up after a run. It helps reduce the stiffness and soreness that occurs after your run. It's another key issue is to help reduce the injuries. You know, afterwards what happens is that you have a restricted range of movement, and stretching helps increase your flexibility and decrease the resistance when you're running. So it's really important for injuries too. The other one is most people find that 9 out of 10 times their back gets sore, and that's because lower back pain, all your muscles are attached to your pelvis, and a lot of the running injuries stem from around the hip area. So it causes back pain, and stretching helps eliminate that. I'm going to do the full bounce, but you see people do that? That's really bad for you. When I go through the stretches now, I want you to concentrate on doing a 5-second easy hold into a stretch. Remember to relax, and then once you've counted to 5 or 10, release that stretch a little bit, and then drop back into the stretch. And you do that a couple of times. So guys, whilst you've given you some of those tips and general guidelines, let's jump into those stretches we're going to do. Right, so let's get started with the first exercise. Remember, we're starting from the bottom, the calves. So let's take a look at what you've got to do here. So the calves, what you do is you stand and put your hands against the wall and keep a straight leg. Lean against the wall and stretch into that. Okay, and what you remember to do is to count to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. And then relax, and then you would have gone into your second exercise. And then you do that, you swap legs and do it on the other side. So now stretching your calves, one of the important things to note is that this exercise has a straight leg. There are actually 2 muscles in the calves, and there's an upper calf muscle and a lower calf muscle. This exercise is actually stretching the upper calf muscle only. It's called the gastrocnemius. So I'm going to jump into another exercise. So once you've done this, and the second set of exercises is to stretch the lower muscle. In order to do that, it's very simple. You just bend your knee. That bending of the knee changes the stretch from an upper stretch through down into the lower part of the calves, and that also creates a good stretch into your Achilles tendons. So you do that, and you bend, and so that stretch there is stretching the soleus muscles of your calf, the lower calf. Swap sides, go from a straight position and bend your knee. So you count that through to 10, and then you swap sides. So those are your calf muscle stretches. There's an alternative for that if you don't have a wall to stretch against. If you come with me, do the same thing, but just without the wall. Straight leg, this is your upper calf stretch, and with a bent knee, that is stretching your lower calf. So that's your calf muscle stretches for you. When we went to the calves, we come back up to the hamstrings. Hamstrings, so you would have seen on so many of the Olympic Games where they're doing 100 or 200 meters, those people that pull up and then they're pulling their hamstrings. That's because their hamstrings are tight. And I know they do exercises and stretches, but so often that it's neglected and it gets very tight and can really tear and cause a lot of injury. So it's very important to do your hamstring exercises. So to do your hamstrings, it's a very simple exercise to bend over and stretch forward. A lot of people sometimes mistake this to do your calves, but it's not. It's the hamstrings that are stretching here. So what you do again is remember to stretch down, count to 10. Once you've stretched, counted to 10, you relax partially, take a quick breath, and breathe out, and go back down into that stretch. Second time around, you should find that you reach a little lower each time. Breathe in and out. Repeat that 3 times. An alternative stretch for the hamstring is to put your foot on a raised surface like a fence post or table if you've got it. You start off with a bent position on your leg and you lean forward. And when you lean forward into the stretch, try to keep that position and then straighten your leg. You'll definitely feel that pulling. It's a much, much deeper stretch, I find, than the previous one that I've just showed you. So remember, count to 10, relax, bend your knee, stretch forward, and then straighten that leg again. And then you swap sides. Stretch number 3, that's your IT band. IT band is the muscle, the long muscle that connects from the knee up through the side of your leg and connects up to the hip. Now this is a classic runner's injury, and people will complain about tight knees or sore hips, and that's because they don't stretch their IT bands enough. And it's a very simple stretch to do. It starts very similar to the hamstring, but what you do when you lean forward is you cross your leg over to the other side. And then what you do is you stretch down again in a forward position. And to get a deeper stretch, what you do is you move towards the back foot. So from the front, you stretch towards the back foot, and you'll definitely feel the stretch tighten and a lot deeper up through the body. You should even feel it back at the top of your back. And that's why a lot of people who have tight leg problems will also experience problems at the top of their back. So you go down in your stretch, don't forget to breathe in and relax, and count to 10. And then again, once you finish those 3 reps, stand up and do it on the other side. And down and stretch towards the side of the back foot. That's your IT band. A quick alternative for that is you stretch, stand up against the wall, put your leg. Right, exercise number 4. Coming around your body again. Remember, we just did the IT band, so we move to the front of the leg. Those are your quads. So this is a fairly simple exercise or simple stretch to do. Find somewhere to stabilize yourself. Grab your ankle and stretch that behind you and pull your heel up towards your backside. Now, you will find that if you do this exercise and you lean forward, it completely drops the stretch. The important thing to remember on this is to stand up straight and tilt your pelvis forward. If you manage to do that, you'll find a much deeper and better stretch in your quad muscles. So again, remember to count to 10. Once you've done that side, swap around and do the other end. Again, stretch there. Tilt the pelvis forward, count to 10, and relax. And what we do here is we come into a kneeling position. And we just slowly work ourselves backwards. Use your hands to stabilize yourself. And as you go back, you'll definitely feel the deep, deep stretch in your quad muscles there. And to help us make a deeper stretch is to remember to try and move that pelvis forward, tilt it forward. Count through to 10, and you'll know you've stretched that. And that is your quad muscles. Stretch number 5 is working on the groin area. Now with running, is a very linear motion, which results in your groin area getting very tight. So you don't have a lot of lateral movement in running. So to strengthen that, or to stretch that out and get some more flexibility. Very simple exercise. Sit down, bring your feet together, lean a little forward, and you'll feel that stretch in your groin area. To get a deeper stretch, pull your elbows into your knees and pull them down gently. Remember to count to 5. An alternative to that is a simple stretch like this. Again, pushing out on your knees. And then if you like, you can do a simple rocking motion from one side to the other, and you can feel it working down, further down on the inside of your leg. So that's number 5, the groin area. Exercise number 6, or stretch number 6, is for the hip flexors. Hip flexors are that big group of muscles that attaches from your upper leg into your hips. It causes, it's all to do with your stability of your body. You'll feel the pain quite often if it is tight there. Bring your leg through. Every time your leg's behind, it'll be tight, and it even causes problems through into the back. So to stretch that out, go down onto your knee and lean forward and come back. Now the critical part of this exercise is to make sure that your hips are tilted forward, because you'll feel a lot greater stretch. To get a deeper stretch in that, make sure that you lean up and across, and that you'll really feel those stretches coming through from your top of your femur, your bone, connecting through to the hip. And relax and stretch in. So that's really good group to stretch those hip flexors out. The stretch we're going to look at is the hips. Now your mobility all stems from the hips. Any problems around this area is going to result in issues even down as far as your leg, in your knees, and in your back. So we want to keep some flexibility going on in your hips. So a good exercise for this one is to lie down. Find yourself a good area where you're able to lie down and stretch out. You bring your knee up and then bring it across while looking in the opposite direction. And that's a very good exercise to reduce the tension in your back. Go down and you do the opposite knee. Right, that's your hips. Next group of muscles are the glutes. Now glutes are really important. They're the 3 big groups of muscles that in your buttocks. Glutes, to stretch those glutes, again we take a lie down, you bring the left knee up, and then bring your other knee, your ankle across, and put it on your knee. Stretch through the gap and pull towards you. You'll definitely feel a pull right through that major glute region at the back there. And pull that. Remember to relax and breathe. Ease up on the tension and then pull back into that stretch again. Another alternative for that is to sit. Bring your leg across, put your elbow onto your knee and stretch across. Okay, so that's exercise number 8, your glutes. The next one that we're going to look at is called the piriformis muscle. Now you probably haven't heard of that, but it's underneath your glutes and it attaches across the glutes. So this is already really important with your hips and your stability. It's used every time you take a step, so although it might be a small little muscle hidden away there, it's very important to keep that fully stretched. Now this stretch is very similar to the previous one we did in the glute muscles. We pull our knee up, but instead of putting it across like we did previously, pull your knee up and bring it across. Now that's a slightly different stretch that gets into your piriformis muscles and helps with your stability. Right, and you do that on both sides, and that's a great stretch for your piriformis muscle. This is Hilton Quinn from Strong Grandpa. If you like this video, please hit like below or follow us on Instagram or the other media channels that we got on YouTube. So I just want to say thanks to everyone. Thanks to all the strong grandpas out there. Stay fit, keep safe, and keep on at it.